I am so glad you convinced me that the family car should be the Defender 110. It is so beautiful inside. It's so comfortable, and it just feels indestructible.
Yes, it really is. I've been waiting a long time for the new model to come out. The Defender 110, I'm telling you, it's my favorite car of all times. It's my third one. You know, I have stories of going off-road. The guy managed the group. He was like, what are you doing in this beautiful car? I'm like, I'm going off-road. He's like, are you sure? Because you can use one of ours. And then they look like Mad Max cars. I'm like, no, we're going to do this. And he was shocked.
Wow. Well, it's great because the Defender has been reimagined for 21st century adventure, and its unparalleled off-road ability, as well as its robust interior, are invaluable whether you're headed towards uncharted territory or just a weekend of exploration. The Defender 110 tackles challenging surroundings with absolute confidence. The SUV conveys strength outside and in, featuring peerless technology like an intuitive driver display and an award-winning infotainment system. That's my favorite part, to keep you connected no matter where the journey takes you. Adventure is unique to everyone, and so is the Defender. Choose from the two-door Defender 90, the four-door Defender 110, or the larger Defender 130 with the ability to seat up to 8 passengers. You'll find uncompromising performance in all three. So pack up and go even further with the Defender 110. Learn more at LandRoverUSA.com/Defender.
Sometimes it takes a different approach to help you unlock your true potential. Capella University's game-changing FlexPath format helps you learn at your own pace and fit earning a degree into your life. From before you enroll to after you graduate, you'll be supported by people who are invested in your success so you can pursue your goals knowing that help is available if you need it. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show on the Stansberry Radio Network.
So I don't usually do intros on these podcasts, but I just want to introduce you to Nick Megalis. His book, Mega Weird, just came out. But what's really interesting about Nick is he's an expert at the artistic medium of Vine. Now, if you don't know what Vine is, it's a video format owned by Twitter, which allows you to make 6-second videos. It's like the YouTube of Twitter. And it's really hard to make a 6-second video. So I was really curious about Nick's creative process. He has had over 500 million views on his Vines, 500 million. And I think his company makes over 7 figures a year doing Vine videos. And I've tried to get better at Vine videos myself, and it's really hard to make a 6-second video. And there's some editing capabilities. So I wanted to ask him about it. I wanted to ask him about his creative process, how he monetizes it, and I wanted to ask him about his book and his background. So that's the intro. Here's Nick. Nick Megalis, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know if many people know who you are, but I will say you are a Vine superstar. And Vine, maybe some people don't know what that is. That's the almost like the YouTube of Twitter. It's these 6-second videos that Twitter owns Vine, and it allows creative expression in just 6 seconds. I've never heard anything like that before until Twitter created it. And you're like, are you the most, would you say you're the most popular person on Vine?
Would I say that?
Yes, like we have about 4 million followers.
I mean, my mother would say that for sure. I don't know. I don't know what popular means. I mean, yeah, if it's a numbers game, there's people with more followers than I have.
But you also have a lot of engagement, like
in terms of being awesome.
Yeah, well,
sorry, go ahead.
It's true. You have like tens of thousands of comments on your Vines. Like, do you ever get disappointed if you do a 6-second video and I don't know, some metric doesn't work out, like you don't get enough loops or comments or engagement or whatever?
Do I freak out?
Or is there some metric by which you judge whether this was good or this was not good? Like, do you judge these videos?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I make videos so that I don't have a nervous breakdown.
And what does that mean? Like, do you feel like
I make stuff so that I can? It's hard to explain. I make stuff, James. That's what I do. I make videos. I make music. I'm a writer. I make sandwiches, and I think that it kind of is ingrained in me. I come from a family of artists and just general Greek obsessive compulsive weirdos people, and that's my life has been just creating stuff so that I don't go insane. And every day, hopefully, I think every day I'm closer and closer to not losing my mind. Does that make sense?
Yes, because I just read your book, Mega Weird, Stories from the Anxiety-Ridden Mind of Nicholas Megalis. And one thing that really impressed me and kind of blew me away is that your dad illustrated the book. And he was amazing. Like, it's like a Picasso illustrated your book.
And and it didn't come cheap. I mean, Greeks are, whatever. I'm not going to get into it. But, my dad, no, I'm kidding. My dad, this was an opportunity for my dad and I to collaborate on a level other than just being, born from his loins.
Well, did you guys get into fight? Did you guys get into fights or like what is it? I don't think I ever would have been able to work with my dad.
I don't know. I don't know how close you are with your father, but I mean, working with my dad is very easy because we're on a similar wavelength. My mother is more brutal and tells me when things suck, and it's just we'll say I don't like your new video, you have to take it down. And call me. I ordered those shoes for you. Those are the voicemails that I get. But my dad's out of his mind, and I love him for it. Now we don't get into fights. We communicate without communicating. He calls me 10 times a day. I mean, no fewer.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, he calls me all day long. He just called me just now, and I pressed ignore. I kid you not. This ties in beautifully. He called me just now. I pressed ignore, and he knows very well that I'm doing your podcast today. And I don't know what the hell his problem is.
Are your mom and dad still married?
Yes, they are. They are still married, which gives hope for humanity because it's miraculous. So I hope they don't listen. I really hope they don't listen to this, but they probably will.
Well, I want to roll it back because you've been involved in so many different forms of media. Obviously, Vine, you've risen to the top.
No, I've not been involved in any crime, I promise you.
Well, crime, I'm not quite so sure about that after watching some of the Vines, but
I'm serious, I promise.
Music you've been doing since you were like 14 years old. You had a band. You really have been, you made a go for it. You're still making a go for it. What kind of, got you started?
Being a 14-year-old pudgy kid who wasn't good at math or sports, James. And that's an anomaly. I mean, a kid who's not good at math or physical activity.
It's true. At least I was good at math.
You see, I know. And everyone I meet, they're like, well, I played rugby. Well, then you don't qualify for this level of bizarreness. Right. I'm telling you, I lived in the suburbs. I'm born in Pittsburgh, grew up in Pittsburgh and Cleveland. But, in Cleveland, Ohio, God bless its beautiful heart, but there's not a lot to do when you're 14 years old and don't have a driver's license. It's not New York City.
What year?
Fun.
What year were you born?
89. I
was living in Pittsburgh then.
You went to CMU, didn't you?
I went to grad school at CMU. I could have been your father, for all we know.
Well, my dad's 56. Are you 56?
No, I'm 47, so I would have been a young father.
I don't know if you would have been a really young dad.
Yes.
I'm going to be 26 on April 8th. Tim has my address, so hopefully you guys send me a nice gift.
All right, well, we'll definitely do that. Now, so you're doing music. At what did you ever hit like a low point?
Ever hit rock bottom?
Yeah, I mean, is that a common question? Like, did you?
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please,
No, it's okay. Like, maybe it is a common question because, look, you obviously went from someplace to being kind of top of the world with Vine. And just to back off a second, let's talk about the economics of Vine for a second. You do run ads on some of your Vines. Are the economics good?
I knew this was coming. I prepped myself all day.
Okay.
I knew this was. I'm ready for this.
At some point, I'm going to ask you a question you're not expecting, but it hasn't happened yet.
Oh shit. Can I swear? This is.
Yeah, of course.
No, I can't.
Yes, it's a podcast. You can do anything.
Anyway. All right, that's true.
So.
Economics. I mean. Another class I scraped by in. Look, I'm not going to lie. I've had a very, very good few years in the social media world, as it were. And I don't talk about that stuff too much. I mean, you're a money guy and you're a business guy and you love that stuff and you are obsessed with it, probably. I mean, I don't know you, but it's like, I don't know, money to me is gasoline. Spaceship, and that's kind of how I view it. And it's been fun to me, yeah. And have I made money on Vine? Absolutely. I'm not going to beat around the bush, but the priority was to make art and to get my art into people's homes in an accessible fashion. Because you don't want to be a starving artist at 45.
Yeah, Nick. I mean,
at 20, it's adorable when you're 19.
I think that's a good point. I mean, look, obviously many artists make millions and millions of dollars off of their art. Like there's no shame in it. There's no disconnect between art and making money from it. In fact, people pay you because you're good.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But, in terms of it being a conversation piece, I have zero interest in it. And I'll tell you why, not to write this off, but honestly, I view it as it's money so that I can live and continue to make cool stuff, and so that I don't have to work in an office where I would blow my brains out, because I'm not capable of doing it. I'm not very good at normal things. I'm not sure what normal means, but I'm just not good at it. And so thank God, I got some amazing attention the past couple of years, and I've been able to support myself and my loose group of creative outcasts, whatever we are, who have been able to make cool stuff for brands. And I like working with brands for sure. And there's no shame, because if a company wants to hire me and my, personnel to make something interesting that otherwise wouldn't have been there, I'm down. As long as it's, as long as I don't have to, actually spill my actual blood or give up rights to my future children. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned personnel, because people say, "Oh, a 6-second video, how hard could that be?" But your videos, it looks like there's some serious editing. There's music. There's costume and makeup. It seems like you have a whole crew doing your stuff with you.
We're not Henson level yet, but there's not 25, 40 people doing just my eyebrows alone, although my eyebrows do really need work because I'm Mediterranean. I'd love to have someone come in and trim me up and give me a scrub down and give me the Brad Pitt treatment once in a while. But, personnel to me means anybody I can lasso into working with me. That's how it's been for 12 years or whatever. I'm 26. I've been doing music professionally and touring, and I had my music on MTV when I was 15 years old, and this is what I've been doing for a while. So it's whoever I can kind of get psyched to work in my apartment with me and paint paper mache and edit weird videos for companies or for my friends or my whatever you want to call the people who thank God follow me on the internet.
Well, so let's say. You've done,
dirty calling them fans, because it's just, I hate that. But they're fans, they're friends.
So well. I kind of sense there's a little bit of almost a feelings of it's like you don't want to talk necessarily about the money, and you don't like referring to them as fans, but they really are fans, and for a reason, because you're doing stuff they love.
Yeah, there's a fandom, there's a fanaticism. Is that a word?
Yes.
I just wrote a book, and I'm not even sure. I wrote a book, and
You're an author. You're a literary author now.
You know what? I'm about to ebook your new book. I don't know how new it is, but I'm looking at it right now on an iPad.
Excellent.
Anyway, I'm fascinated by this.
So what
was the question? They're fans. Yeah, let me real quick. I want to say something about that. Man, yeah, they're fans, of course, but I spend this sounds insane, and it sounds like this is some form of mental illness, but I probably spend about 5 or 6 hours a day on my either iPhone or laptop communicating with thousands of people. And I know their pictures. I know their names. I recognize their hashtags. I don't know if Jared Leto is doing that. And I maybe he is. God bless him. He loves social media. But I don't know if – so, I mean, fans seem to be like a one-sided consumption level of something. And I don't want people to just consume my stuff. I want to have a conversation with them.
That's really interesting because so you're a creator. Obviously, you've done over 500 videos on Vine. But
oh my God,
part of your process is active engagement with with all these fans. I mean, I write every day, and I have a hard time responding to emails because I figure, okay, if I'm going to write, I want to write. I want to do broadcast writing as opposed to kind of single cast writing.
Sure, and that makes sense. Your podcast goes out to a ton of people. So that is, I don't know. This is I don't know how to explain this. This world that I'm in, this social media boom, whatever it is, I don't even know what it is because it's happening right now. I'll know what it is in 5 years. But what happened since 2012, 2013 for me is something I've never experienced before. It's accessibility. My work is driven by a powerful force of nearly 5 million people. So yeah, I'm making stuff in my apartment, and it is kind of one-sided because I'm like, here's something that I made. This is some art that I made. But it's impossible for it to exist on social media without the frickin' social. And why should
That's a great point.
And why should I expect anybody to subscribe to my stuff or click like on my stuff if I'm not going to give something back to them? I mean that.
Okay, but aren't you giving back to them by creating the videos?
No, not enough for me. It's not enough for me. I can't speak for anyone else, but
okay.
Let's put it this way. Like when I was growing up, I used to write handwritten letters to who is now a very famous street artist. And I used to write him letters, Shepard Fairey from Obey Giant. I used to write him handwritten letters when I was, I don't know, I was probably 12 or 13 years old, maybe 11 years old. Very young. And he sent me back handwritten replies and gave me tons of free stickers and stencils. That one-on-one time that he took in his office in Los Angeles or wherever he was, San Francisco, wherever the hell he was, that impacted my life for the rest of my life.
Wow.
So I want, if I have the time in the day, and thank God right now I do. I'm blessed that I have 6 hours where I can spend between jobs or between shoots where I can reply to 1,000 people. And it's worth it to me. It's hard to explain. It sounds psychotic.
No, actually, it sounds like a very important part of the process, and I wrestle with this myself. Like some days I'll be more responsive than others, and other days I'll just be focused on either writing articles or the podcast or whatever. But so let's reel it back to 2013. Vine just comes out. What was your first exposure to it?
Accidentally saw it on Twitter because at the time I thought that it was simply an app for making video. Didn't realize it was its own social network. I got into a terrible skateboarding accident in April of 2013. I busted my neck and herniated discs in my neck, and I was pretty much bedbound for like 3 or 4 months. And at that time, I was on my computer and my phone more than I am now. If that's something you could swallow and, and visualize. So I became obsessed with Vine because I was on my back, and I was like, "Look at this! I can make loops. I don't even have to leave. This is filmmaking. Holy shit! This is. I can make films in my bed. This is incredible." And I like that it was all self-contained. I liked that at the time you couldn't edit. You couldn't drag in videos you shot on a $10,000 camera that your production studio you stole from your production studio that you intern at. Because there's this, how many kids my age, 25, and I do consider myself a kid. How many 25-year-olds have access to expensive equipment? Tons of people now have gear. It's why my dad is out of business. So what do? You embrace it. My dad is a 16 millimeter Rollex camera shooter with 35 years or something of advertising and filmmaking experience. He's been in Sundance, Toronto, every film festival you could think of, and there are 20-year-old kids doing it for free on the best equipment possible. So I guess the point is strip all that away. Take it all away. And what do you have? You have to have an idea now. There has to be an idea. If you don't have an idea, you just have gear. You know what I mean?
So let's take so 2013 comes. There's April 2013.
I'm sorry, I just ranted. I'm sorry.
No, it's great because it all ties together. So what was your first Vine, and how did you start to realize, hey, this is a medium that I could, potentially succeed in? You were struggling for years in music, and I read in your book, there was a lot of disappointing experiences and also a lot of high experiences, but Vine seems like it was this straight up momentum for you.
Well, look, I want to say something. First of all, I've done a couple interviews so far for this book, and you're the only person who actually can reference things in the book. Meaning you at least skimmed it, so I appreciate that. And I'm not being facetious. I genuinely.
Look, I've spent all morning reading it, and I've got 3 authors later today. But your book was the one that I love the interaction between you and your dad, and your storytelling ability, and your dad's artwork was amazing.
Wow, man, I really appreciate that, for real. Thank you very much. Now I'm excited about it. You made me excited. That's I don't know. It's hard to talk to somebody. I think my favorite interview ever is with Bob Dylan, where he's sitting with a guy who's just about to he just played a show, and the guy's writing for Time magazine. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know that one.
You're like Bob Dylan, 2015 Bob Dylan. You're like Bob Dylan, sort of. You know what I mean?
Fox Business used to call me. Fox Business used to call me the Bob Dylan of Wall Street.
That's amazing. I knew it. I knew it. That's all. I love that. So my favorite interview with Bob Dylan is he's sitting with Time magazine, and he said, you're sitting here asking me questions about my show. Did you even see my show? And he said, no, I haven't seen the show. He goes, how are you going to ask me questions about my music if you haven't even heard it? He said, and I don't even read Time magazine. I only read Time magazine when I'm on an airplane because I have to. And I love that because Jesus Christ. No, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. To have a conversation with somebody, you have to know the shit that you're talking about. So.
Well, what's interesting about what Bob Dylan was saying and what you're doing with Vine is that, and what you just said was, the gatekeepers are gone. So you don't have to call up Paramount and say, I have a movie idea, and go through 6 layers of executives. You could just turn on your iPhone, make a 6-second video, upload it, and you get more views per video than most movies that are produced out there.
And I'm telling you this right now. I stood up at a tech talk. Not stood up. It was my turn to talk. I didn't speak out of turn. I was at a tech talk, not TED. Tech as in technology. Right. A year and a half, 2 years ago. And I think I said, I was sitting there with Al Jazeera and who else? Fill in the blank. Reporters from respected, news organization. And I said, I think Vine is going to be consumed as news, and I think that we are the reporters now. And I think there's no there's no need anymore almost to be fed the news 6 hours late on television. What if we had Vine when the Berlin Wall came down? And they kind of laughed me out of the room, man. And I'm telling you this right now, 8 out of 10 articles I see, 7 out of 10 articles I see now that have like a video clip of something breaking news, whether it's what happened in Ferguson or LeBron James shooting a three-pointer. It is a Vine video, dude.
Well, okay, so what is your like creative process for making a Vine video? Because I've tried a few Vine videos and it's actually really hard to be entertaining in 6 seconds. I have a hard time with it.
Everyone says that. I think it's the opposite. I think it's you
So teach me, like how can I get better? What do you do?
I don't know. It's all inspiration. You know, there's this whole group of people who live out in Los Angeles, and they have sort of a group, a collective where they get together and they produce 20 or 30 Vines together, and they roll them out like a television show, which is okay. That's cool. And they're doing very, very well. But that doesn't work for me, really. I don't really work on a schedule anymore as much. Excuse me. I have acid reflux. I have to be inspired, man. If you see like the most amazing mustache on a man, film it. That's the Vine. Don't think too deeply into it, man. You're going to ruin it.
So you're walking around, anything that kind of like sparks a creative.
That's how my mind works. If I see a man with a mustache, it's beautiful. I'm going to sing about it. It's like, that's the most beautiful mustache that I ever have seen. Like, I hope he combs it all day, if you know what I mean. Like, that right there is that, whatever it is. I'm inspired all day. So, and New York City is, constant inspiration and frustration.
And so it seems like it's funny. You took your and I've read people write reviews of your Vines as well, that part of the success of them is that you've been able to take this music background and kind of combine it with this new medium, almost the sex of the two media. And but 2013, when did you start to realize, okay, this is it, something special is happening here?
When I was getting, when it jumped from 500 people seeing it to like 10,000 to 1 million. I think what happened was I shot this thing in my apartment on the way to work. I was a babysitter. I was doing commercial music work, but it wasn't paying the bills. My dad would like hire me last minute for some regional spot, and I'd have to write a song about pepperoni pizza, which I love pizza, so it's easy to write. It's easy money. But, I was also a babysitter because I wasn't making enough money to live in New York City. It was just sucking the money out of me. So, I was on my way to work, and I put gummy worms in my wallet and made this song called Gummy Money. And I got out of the train. I uploaded it, and I got out of the train, and it was editor's pick, which means they forced it into everyone's feeds. And I have people come up to me to this day and say, you were the first Vine I ever saw. It defined the platform for me. Because Vine and I kind of worked together. I made a piece of content, and they pushed it to the surface.
Do you think it
did me a huge favor, and I think vice versa too, because like I was using their platform for something other than just, I don't know, filming hobos fighting on the street. Like I was actually making art on it, in my humble opinion, and I think they liked that, and that's why they pushed it to the surface.
You're sort of like the Lazy Sunday of Vine, like Lazy Sunday.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. So what if like for me again, like what if I can't get to be an editor's pick? Like it seems like you still have to get chosen to be successful in a medium. I don't know about that, because there's so many people who never got quote editor's pick. An editor's pick I don't even think exists anymore, as far as I know. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm out of the loop, no pun intended. I really am. I just don't. I just make stuff and put it up, and I don't think as much anymore about editor's pick and all that crap. But I'll tell you this. If you make something really, really good, it'll stand out. You don't need to be selected. There's no committee to like make you a star. That really doesn't exist, man. It's up to the public. I mean, think about it. Like, I don't know. Actually, I don't know, man. Because some of these things we think are viral videos, some of these spontaneous, some of these things that seem magical, and like they're just haphazardly beautiful. A lot of that stuff is staged, and that's a whole other conversation for another day. But I happen to think that a lot of viral moments are staged by Fortune 500 companies.
Well,
to be honest with you. So that's another conversation for another day,
But again, it relates to the fact that anytime a medium achieves some kind of success, companies start to get involved. Like, take a look at it. I don't know if you're familiar with Casey Neistat's videos on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm friends with Casey. I just listen to his podcast with you. I love it.
Yeah, he's a great guy, great artist, and I actually love the video that Nike sponsors with him, where he kind of like acts as if he's just going to take their money and travel around the world. But of course, that was scripted, and it was a great concept. And
that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. I don't mean that it's a hoax. I mean that things that seem one way could be the other. And I actually don't know the story behind that video, to be honest with you, the Casey video. I don't.
Well, so when did companies start approaching you about, hey, we've noticed you on Vine, we'd like to pay you to do some videos?
Almost immediately.
Wow.
But they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And immediately it was like, hey man, my brother and I got a t-shirt company, and you could send me free shirts, and I'd give you my address. I won't give it over this podcast, but I love free stuff. I'm Greek. We love anything free. So, I don't know, or maybe like summer 2013,
like when were you making a living on Vine?
Summer of 2013.
And was that like Virgin Mobile coming in?
Yeah, Virgin Mobile, I think, was the first. You would know better than me because I think you researched me. I don't know. I really don't remember. I think Virgin or Trident was maybe the first job.
Trident. What did you? What vines did you do? Any like Trident specific vines? Like, did you talk to dentists?
Well, I'm saying don't quote me, but I'm the one saying it on a podcast. I think we were the first, and by say we, I mean my team in New York, which is Grape Story, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's company. I think that our Trident spot was the first Vine, the first 6-second television commercial ever on television. And I think Dunkin' Donuts had one too, but I can't remember which one came. I think ours came first, and I'd like to think that it did, but I can't be sure. But that was that summer was like, boom, everybody and their mom wanted to make a Vine, and that's amazing. It was great, but believe me, for everything you've seen me do on Vine with a brand, there are 100 companies we didn't do things with. So,
what would you turn down?
Things that I didn't really feel good about, or things that didn't make sense to my world. For instance, I'm not really gonna go out there and sell. I don't know. I like raisins. I don't know. I was going to say raisins. I mean, I like raisins. It has to be something that I like, or that I believe in, or something that makes sense in my universe, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know
no.
what I mean?
Again, it's like you take these elements. So, for instance, you love Netflix. Say it looked like Netflix. Yes. So you love Netflix. You love singing. You have the ADD for 6-second videos. You put them all together, and now you have a 6-second ad for Netflix.
Sure.
And so if you can't do that with a brand,
what are you saying? What are you saying? Are you asking me if that's what I did?
Yeah. That's your process, it seems.
Yeah, like here's what I do. When a brand comes to me, they say, "Hey, Vine, we don't." That's kind of how it goes. And I say, "Yeah, listen to me, and we will make something amazing that people will love." And it will also be elevated to another level where I would personally, Nicholas Megalis, consider it to be art.
Right, but you won't, like, for instance, hold up a Trident and say, buy Trident gum. You make
because that's lazy. It's half-assed. Yeah.
You do your usual thing, which is you find the mustache guy, you sing a song, and there might be Trident in the background.
Yeah, because I need to be passionate about it. I'm not going to hold up a pack of gum and say, eat this gum, unless actually that is kind of funny. Maybe that's anti-advertising. I like that too. I like it all, James, really.
I do seem to remember there was one maybe where you were just chewing gum. I'm
Probably.
I watched so many of them. There's
500 of them.
Yes.
I don't even remember 4 of them.
So you've probably gotten, just looking at the average numbers, you've probably gotten close to 500 million loops on your videos. I mean, how does that feel to think
I thought you were going to say $500 million, and I was going to say, man, that would be amazing. You and my accountant would be very, very happy.
No, I will predict, though, in total gross revenues, probably a little over $1 million. That's my prediction.
I'm going to say closer to $1 trillion.
Okay, good. That's good for you. So again, in terms of the process, like what vines did you do today?
Nothing. I got up. I had horrible conference calls.
Who do you have conference calls with?
Well, I can say the one, but I can't say the other yet. But the one conference call was just it was with my team of bandits, my crew. It was with 7 people, like not 7, including myself. There were 6 of us. So it was like my friend who's a videographer, my friend who's a graphic designer, my little brother who's a graphic designer, and like 3 other people, and it was just a cluster FUCK of just voices. I don't really like, when you're on the phone with 7 people, it's hard enough. There's a delay on you and on our podcast call right now. I'm actually having anxiety even talking to you. So I can't. Can you imagine like a morning filled with conference calls for me? It's really bad. So no, I woke up this morning. I had conference calls. I made coffee. I'm on my 4th cup right now of a very large cup, not a normal human size. I had a call with my mom. I pressed ignore on my dad's call. I shipped a painting out. I just sold another painting.
Wow! So I didn't know. I didn't know you're also doing painting. I did not research.
I'm also a professional golfer. No, I'm kidding. I know. Yeah. I love making art. So I don't know, man. When you talk to me next, if we do this again, if you could tolerate another interview with me, I'm telling you, I might actually be into ballet. My friend is trying to get me interested in ballet right now, and I'm interested in it. No, I can't do it. I don't have the body for it, but it's very interesting. I would like to be a choreographer or some sort of conductor of sorts.
I mean, well, the thing is, again, a 6-second vine doesn't take 6 seconds to make. It looks to me there is a process, there is a choreography, there is a directing to that.
I tell people that a vine takes about 12 hours.
To be honest, that's what it looks like on a lot of your vines.
Yeah, and also think about it. Think of all the stuff you haven't seen. There are 500 that are on there. There are 5,000 that have been thrown away. It's just that's how I operate. And actually, a lot of these vines, a lot of friends who make vines, they operate the same way. We'll shoot. When my friend Ry Doon comes to town, we'll shoot 10 things and use none of them, and it'll be a wasted weekend. Well, not wasted as in intoxicated, although that might happen too.
Now, do you ever get worried? Like I was asking I have a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old daughters, and they don't use Vine as much as like Snapchat or other media right now. Do you think what happens? Like, when does Vine make the switch to something like Instagram video, where now instead of doing Vines, you'll start to focus more on Instagrams? Like, how will you kind of recognize that change in media happening?
Well, my ears to the soil always, and that's how we operate. I'm always, there's 10 apps right now that you've never heard of that I'm beta testing. Like that I can't even talk. Like, I like testing people's apps. I like trying things out. Cause I do have ADD, and I am like a small child, and I'm not interested. I was very obsessed with Vine, and it's still a very relevant and beautiful realm to make things in. But there are things recently that have caught my attention that, I have a presence everywhere. I have a presence on Instagram. I have like 70,000 people there or something. It's great. And sometimes I want to put a picture up of a painting I just made. That's what Instagram's for. Snapchat is Casey. Nobody uses Snapchat better than Casey Neistat and Jerome Jarre. Nobody does.
Sean McBride is very good with.
Oh, Sean. Oh my God. Yeah. No. Sean too. Sean's different though. Sean is a surrealist, and Sean is doing some sort of alternate reality art storytelling with imagery.
Casey is going to Bangkok or like Paris and filming himself in the rain at 3 a.m, like parasailing. He's insane. So it's good to watch an insane man do things.
Funny. So what do you think will be the next? I mean, obviously you're playing around with all of them, and Vine's your focus. But do you think there's kind of a next thing that's going to happen? That
I do.
What do you think it'll be?
I do. When is this going to air?
Probably within the next week.
And
your book's coming out March 31st. I'll make it air that day.
Oh, amazing. You know what? Yeah. So Gary, do you know Gary?
Yeah, I know Gary very well.
Okay, so you know how Gary is like will hype you up and like excite you beyond belief about something that he believes in?
Yes.
Yeah, he I sat down with him last night for dinner, and he just like almost grabbed me by the throat, almost like grabbed my shoulders really hard, and said, "If you don't get on Meerkat tonight, like we're gonna have a serious problem. Like you're an idiot, basically."
That's fascinating. Somebody told Meerkat actually tweeted to me almost the same thing yesterday.
Yeah. So they're doing.
But I don't even know what they are. What are they? Describe.
It is. Here's what it is. It's what television is going to be in less than 15 years, completely. You know how like the CEO of Netflix or whoever it is, the CFO, I don't know anybody's title, but Netflix said in 15 years broadcast TV will be dead. Like, you know, TV at a scheduled time. Like Jimmy Fallon is on at 11. That's when you watch Jimmy Fallon. That's just not how it's going to be. Meerkat is absolutely the future, 100%. Even watching videos now to me seems archaic, if that makes sense. You know, Meerkat is live.
It doesn't make sense. So, like I don't understand. Like,
Meerkat is live. It's in your face, happening live. It's what we all strive for to see every day. It's a beautiful car accident. It's being able to rubberneck all over the world at the same time and talk to the people who are broadcasting. It's live streaming video on your phone, wherever you are, on any network. It's amazing, and I'm obsessed with it.
And it goes to Twitter, the video?
So, yeah, the video, I guess, I don't know, they had a beef with Twitter or something. I don't really know the story, but I guess Twitter's not going to, they're like decoupling from them or something. But, yeah, so when you shoot when you go live, everybody who talks to you in that video, in that live stream, is tweeting at you. So it increases, it just builds your engagement like crazy on Twitter. I don't know how long that's going to last, though. I don't know. I'm not up to speed on it. I just got into Meerkat yesterday or 2 days ago.
Wow, I'm gonna definitely check it out. So
yeah, you should. It's amazing. I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it in the way that I was obsessed with Vine 2 years ago.
Now, with Vine, like, do you find when you're walking around on the street, do people recognize you and say, "Hey, I watched like all of your Vine videos"?
Yeah, it's incredibly bizarre and amazing. Yes.
And is that different? Like when you were growing up in Cleveland and doing music, did you ever have even remotely similar experiences you're having now on social media?
Yes, but not to this extent. When I was in Cleveland, I played an arena in Cleveland. I played we opened for 9 Inch Nails at Quicken Loans Arena when I was 19 years old in Cleveland. Like I was, I hate local celebrities sounds so disgusting, but I was locally known as this performer, and I started when I was like 14 or 15 playing guitar and playing, like experimental music at cafes, and then really, really focused on live performance and recording albums, and worked with a genius guy named Michael Seifert, and we did a studio album called Praise Be Hype Machine. It was when I think I came out when I was 18 or 19, and it was a big thing for me, and it was fun, and I still love that town so much, and my family's all there. So yeah, like people would come up to me and say, "Hey man, I saw you last week at the Grog Shop. You guys are awesome," but it's never been like it is now, and it's hard to explain. I mean, I love it, trust me, but I sometimes wonder if they're looking at somebody behind me, and I turn around because I'm just, I'm a long-haired Greek kid from Cleveland who makes videos. I'm not Justin Bieber. I'm not Justin Bieber. You know what I mean?
What nationality are you again?
I'm Greek.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
How many times have I said it? Do you have a clock? Do you have a meter?
Okay, I'm Jewish. I'll say it at least once.
Did you see my chapter about me considering myself to be an honorary Jew?
Yeah, particularly now that you're in New York. The Jew hub, you called it.
I feel, I've always felt, I don't know, my Aunt Georgia has always wished that she were Jewish. And
there's like a connection, like Greeks sort of have a Sephardic Jewish connection. Like there's something there.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's a brotherhood in anxiety and family and obsessiveness and business and work. And I don't know, I've had a lot of Jewish friends growing up, and I kind of wish that I were Jewish myself. So, I mean, I like being Greek. It's great, but anyway, whatever.
Nick, let me ask you this. It does seem there is some wall that you have inside of you, and I'm going to tell you where I see the wall. There's on one side of the wall is the art and this absolute love you have for whatever media or medium you're doing this art in. And then on the other side, you don't like the word celebrity. You don't like the word fans. You're hesitant to talk about the money and economics of it, but it does seem like that is the maturation of an artist when you start to have an audience that's significant and you start to make money from it and you start to use that money to make even better art. And
absolutely.
So do you feel some hesitancy in maybe almost a little bit of guilt in some of this?
No, but think about it. Like, I'm doing your podcast because I want people to check out my book. And I want people to look at my,
I thought because of my good looks.
Yeah, and you're a gorgeous man.
Yes.
I mean, so I want people to know who I am. I love attention. I always have my whole life. When I was 7 years old, I thought that I was famous then. I was putting on magic shows for my grandparents and thought that I was on a stage in front of 5 million people then. It feels the same it's always felt.
But catering to attention is different from acknowledging it to yourself or to the outside world that, yes, I have achieved a certain level of attention that's distanced me from where I was when I started as an artist.
Yeah, but are you saying, are you asking me if I think that's a bad thing?
Well, I suspect you do think it's a bad thing, or at least an uncomfortable thing for you.
No, here's what it is. I was raised to be humble. My mother listens to every interview I do. I'm doing an interview tomorrow with Newsweek, and my mom will be the first person to buy it, and she will buy 7 copies for all the ladies in the neighborhood.
That's great.
I watch my mouth to a degree. I don't edit myself in some areas, and in some areas I do. And I'm conscious of ego because I have an ego, and my dad passed it down to me. So when I talk to you, or when I talk about fame or fortune or money and all this other stuff that comes along with popularity or whatever, I like to just sit. I like to dodge it a little because although it's important to keep the machine running, it's disgusting to talk about it.
Oh, why do you think that?
Absolutely, it's disgusting. I hate hearing people talk about their cars. I hate hearing people talk about their bank accounts. It's disgusting.
Right. So, but we're not talking about bank accounts. We're talking about, for instance, you create art on Vine and people are willing to pay for it. Just like the Rolling Stones charges $100 a ticket, you charge brands to do Vines when they want you to.
And yes.
That's not necessarily disgusting.
You know what it is, though? It's not disgusting to do it, but to talk about it is, I don't know, man. I'm not ashamed. I just don't have any reason. It's not my focus. I'm telling you, man, it keeps my machine running. That's what it is. It's
right.
Money is gasoline to me. And my friends who are artists, look, I'm telling you, my friends who are true born and bred artists who sleep on floors and are vegan and have $14 in their bank account, I've been there and it sucks. And I love making money so that I can support my lifestyle and my family. and my loved ones and myself, and so I don't have to decide between buying groceries and doing the laundry. You understand what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's amazing. That's great. I freaking love that. Fantastic, and thank you, God above. And I'm a spiritual person, and I do feel blessed. However, there's a certain Hollywood, there's a vibe to some people when they get into talking about it. It just defeats the purpose. I feel like I'm on this planet not necessarily to make money, but to make people happy.
I think that's obviously, I think that's a great thing, and I'm enthusiastic about what you do. But let me ask you this. Let's say someone's listening and they're in a cubicle in Procter & Gamble, and they are like, heck, I'm jealous of this guy, Nick. Heck, Nick, to be honest, I'm jealous. Like, I love what you do on mine. I want to be able to do 6-second videos. I want people to approach me and say, James, this is phenomenal. Can you do something for us? So what would you suggest to that guy in the cubicle or me if they really want to get started with both process and with the business of it, but really the creative process and getting their name out there? How can someone break out of the cubicle?
As a filmmaker or a composer or an artist?
No, let's say a Vine maker.
Well, that could mean a million things. I mean, there are people who make vines of themselves dancing in Prospect Park and they have 10 followers and don't, you know what I mean?
Right. So I want to break out and be you. I want to have 4 million Vine followers and 500 million loops. How do I start? What's steps 1 through 3?
Make things. Step 1, 2, and 3, make things constantly. Fail a billion times. Have $14 in your bank account. Ask your mom to send you a check so you could buy groceries. Beg your girlfriend to give you money for pants so you can go to an interview and pretend that you have money. Find a group of people who are like-minded who can help you achieve certain goals such as production, composition, press. Everything is a teamwork. Everything is a team effort. I mean, if I didn't have my family or my friends to help me, I don't know if I'd be talking to you right now.
You know, it's interesting because Vine seems like a very individual activity, but it reminds me of, let's say, the art scene in the early 1950s when all of these now world-famous artists literally lived on the same street in South Street Seaport, and they kind of grew up together as a scene, and it seems like that's what's happening.
Yes, and look, I go to Captiva Island every year in the Gulf of Mexico in Florida with my family. And Robert Rauschenberg has a house down there, or had a house. And there's a little house, a guest house, right on the water in the bay, and it's on stilts. And I'm surprised it hasn't been washed away by all the hurricanes that have come through there since the 50s and 60s. But do you know how many famous art? Jackson Pollock used to stay there with him. It's everybody should. You should be social. I'm kind of antisocial sometimes because I have anxiety and because I don't really play that game as well as I should. And my dad has gotten on me about that since I was, I just don't really, I don't know. I don't bullshit a lot. Well, I probably would be way more successful if I did. Look, we all know each other. Everybody knows everybody. You have to. It's good to know people because they're like-minded. We're all in the same boat. Like, I should know every artist in New York City. My friend Megan Signoli is the most talented art director, animator, commercial director that I know personally, and everybody knows who she is. You should. Everybody should know who she is, and you should go and pick her brain because she's a genius, and she should inspire you. We're all in New York. It's either New York or LA. I didn't move to LA for a reason. But I love New York, and I'm trying to expand and meet more people. It's a collective, for sure.
Yeah, and I think again, while art seems an individual effort, and I'm sure you realize this even more so when you're writing your book, like that is very an individual effort. The process of writing is technically, like biologically speaking, it's horrific. You're sitting in a chair, slouched over a bright screen, and typing little squiggly letters into a screen.
Yes.
So it's very individual.
Yeah, and there's a reason why. I mean, you could see why Ernest Hemingway cracked. You could see why Bukowski was a prick.
Right, but again, you look at like Hemingway, And yes, at the end of his life, he cracked. I think he had a massive.
He couldn't write.
Yeah, he had a massive block and it destroyed him. But in the 20s, again, they all grew up as a scene. John Dos Passos, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Gertrude Stein,
Yes.
Hemingway. It always takes a scene. If you point to any artist, I bet you I could identify the scene they came out of.
And you know what? I'm obsessed with that same thing. I'm a big fan of Jean-Michel Basquiat, the painter.
Yeah.
And his scene was Warhol and Herring. And 1980s, late 70s, no wave. Downtown, like Canal Street, no wave, punk rock, Devo, Lydia Lunch, like that to me was the coolest scene and it happened right before my lifetime. But I'm obsessed with that. So yeah, there's definitely a culture and a scene, and it makes it so much easier now for me to reach out to people because of the internet. And I just connected with the guy who created Meerkat in 2 seconds, and I said, dude, I love your app. It's incredible. And he got right back to me. Can you imagine how difficult it would be? Like, I mean, for me to,
because again,
you can't imagine it. I can imagine it too. I was writing letters to Shepard Fairey by hand and waiting 3 weeks when I was a kid, for a response. 2 months.
And it's amazing he responded. And also, again, the 3 weeks down to 2 seconds kind of identifies what's happened, which is that the gatekeepers have left and kept the lights on. So we can all have fun now.
If you talk to my old man, my dad will tell you straight up that he said, look, because he's dealing with it he's taking it more to heart than I am. The negativity sometimes that people spew from their, shields of anonymity. People will sometimes say just vile, horrible stuff. And my dad will call me and say, who are these people saying this shit? And I, ignore it, Dad, ignore it. They're just kids trying to get your attention. And he falls for it, hook, line, and sinker. But my dad said, Nick, back in like the 60s, the 50s, whatever, the 60s, 70s, whatever, because if you had some shitty, evil opinion and you were saying, I hate Johnny Carson should die, the only people who heard that opinion were the people sitting with you in your living room. That's it. And those are the only people who should hear that opinion.
Right.
And fan mail. Imagine, you sent a letter to Johnny Carson telling him, I hope you die. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. He never even saw the letter. It was intercepted and thrown away.
Right,
So
but now you get like 28,000 comments on a single 6-second video, and I imagine like it's sort of like the common ratio of anything is 1 out of 10 is going to be negative. Do you ever let that affect you? Do they ever accidentally hit the right button in your personality?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Of course. Yeah. If I'm having a bad day, I'm a human being. So I mean, if I'm having a bad day, of course something hurt me. I'm a human, but. And that's a good lesson to learn because somebody might just be having a worse day than you. And that's the lesson you learn. And I live in New York City and the reality is if I went up to somebody on the street and said, you suck, like you, I hate you, you suck, I'm going to get my ass handed to me. So that's why you can't look, the internet it's not pure reality. You could say these things and get away with it, and not only can you get away with it, you can build a following. You could be Perez Hilton. It's a sickness, but that's the world, and that's the world I participate in. Unfortunately, because I use the internet and I use Twitter, and I don't participate in evil comments, but I live in that world. I see it every day,
and
it's rough.
It is rough. I mean, anybody who sticks their head out is going to face people trying to chop their heads off. But
it's good though. It's good though, isn't it? Because I would rather be slammed than shrugged at. I would rather somebody absolutely just pick me apart for days than to not affect them at all. And I mean that.
I agree with that, which leads to another question, which is, do you ever feel like you have Vine block, like creator's block on Vine, where no matter what you do, you just can't think of something good to do for a 6-second video?
Sure, yeah. I mean, days, weeks on end. I mean, yeah,
Is that like, do you feel that as a physical pain?
No, but this sounds so trite and so easy to say, to make myself sound like some uber creative Warholian figure that I think that I am. But look, man, I really am interested in all mediums pretty much. I'm working on a short film right now. I'm finishing a record in my kitchen. I have all the padding up. I have mattresses that I bought specifically so that I can insulate and soundproof my kitchen. I have an isolation booth built into a wardrobe so that I can do vocals. And look, when I'm not doing Vines, I'm recording, or I'm making a film, or I'm hanging out with a good friend from Ohio that's in for a week, and we're going and drinking at the Whiskey Tavern on Baxter Street. That's what life is creative and everything. You could be creative all day long. And I skateboard too. And skateboard's a good medium. It really is. It's expressive. So I don't need to make Vines. I don't. I enjoy making them. I happen to enjoy making them, and I happen to make them frequently. But I've gone weeks or months without making them.
I didn't know that. That's interesting, because you have 520 Vines out there, and again, it looks like, if I can guess correctly, somewhere between 5 and 600 million views on your Vines, which is incredible.
That's a lot. Wow, man. Yeah, that is a lot. I don't like to think about it. That's a lot of pressure, James. That's a ton of,
I'm going to put more pressure on you. You and Bo Burnham are my favorite Vine guys. Like, he doesn't do Vines as much anymore. It doesn't seem like he does them at all anymore, but his Vines are also very good.
Have you interviewed him?
No, I haven't. He would be a great guy to interview also, because have you seen his show, What?
Absolutely have seen it. Bo express mailed me a copy of his poetry book before it came out. I am a huge fan of him, and I like how he comes in and out. And my friend Jerome Jarr, are you familiar with Jerome?
I don't know Jerome.
Jerome is one of the biggest stars in the world. He is a social media phenomenon. He's a French kid who dropped out of business school and came and slept on my floor and started a company with Gary Vaynerchuk, which I just happened out of nowhere. I think he's in Thailand or something. I don't know where he is. He's insane. I mean, he's an insane human being, but he's a great guy. Anyway, the point is Jerome will come in and out of Vine when he so pleases. If he's inspired, he'll do something.
I'll check out his stuff.
Yeah, and Bo Burnham is the same way. When he's inspired, he'll do something. And that's the way I feel nowadays. I don't feel like I have to do something every day that's mediocre. I would rather do one every week and a half that's awesome.
That's probably good advice for me that I should listen to. I sometimes feel the pressure to write every day, or else I'll lose that muscle. Yeah, man. No, but that is true though. If I don't play piano, I'm not going to be able to play a show. I gotta play piano regularly, or I don't know how to play. Right. So that is true. It's a muscle. It is. Well, so you've clearly done so well in so many different media: music, Vine, obviously painting, film, and now March 31st. I don't know if I've done so well. Give me time. Well, I will say you've done very well on the writing side, because March 31st, Mega Weird, your deluxe signed edition, Stories from the Anxiety-Ridden Mind of Nicholas Megalis, is coming out. I'm very much looking forward to getting the hardcover version. I've been reading it on off of my Dropbox, so in PDF form. But I'm really impressed by it. It's really great. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, and thanks for letting me rant. And look, let's do a Vine together at some point. Yeah, If you want me to show you the ropes, I'll show you the ropes. Yeah, definitely. We'll figure out a time. We'll communicate. And but thanks for coming on the podcast. And look, we'll run into each other soon. Look, man, I'm telling you and me, Baxter Street, Nha Trang Pho, the best pho. So I pronounce it pho. Well, but let me just tell you, after my wedding, that's where I ate. That's where we ate. What do you mean? After I got married, you're talking on Baxter Street. There's a Vietnamese restaurant by that name. Yeah,
7 Baxter Street, the Vietnamese place.
Yeah, that's after I had my wedding. We had no guests, and we just went and ate in that restaurant.
You're kidding.
In full wedding attire and everything.
Oh, did you take a photo?
Did we take a photo? We took one photo. Claudia, you'll have to send it to me.
That's dude, that's amazing. That's my spot.
That was my spot.
Oh man. No, I don't know anybody who goes there. That's amazing, dude.
No, that's where I used to have all my business meetings, like literally 13 years ago.
Just so you know, I'm going to let you go, but I want to tell you this. Anytime I have a meeting and I have the option of choosing where we go, I'm there in the back booth in that restaurant.
Yeah, that's where we should do our Vine, actually. Claudia, you'll
we
come.
We should.
You'll,
and you know what? I will come in full wedding attire, if that's okay.
Yeah. I just saw your dress yesterday. We'll get it. All right, we're in.
All right, man.
Nick, thanks a lot. This is great. And again, I think everybody should go out and get Mega Weird, Stories from the Anxiety-Ridden Mind of Nicholas Megalis. Great book.
Thank you.
Nick, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.
Talk soon.
For more from James, check out the James Altucher Show on the Stansberry Radio Network at stansberryradio.com and get yourself on the free insiders list today.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power, so how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/advance. That's oracle.com/advance. oracle.com/advance.